Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, before we get into any of the topics of this video, I want to shout somebody out. Because finally I get to shout someone out that has less subscribers than me. You know, that's never something that's happened on this show before. So, just for the sake of fun and giggles, I'm going to shout out We the People. We the People is a small YouTube channel that has, I guess you could say, is kind of inspired by me. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I say that not because he said it himself that he's inspired by me. I say it just because it appears as if he's inspired by me. I just, like, because he's like this guy that doesn't have a political looking channel icon, all of a sudden wants to do political podcasts. You know, I would say, yeah, maybe he's inspired by me. Though, being inspired by me does not necessarily mean he's a copy of me. Because, well, he's got different political views than me. I'm one of those, progressives that are like, go Bernie. And he's identified himself as more of a moderate Republican or kind of libertarian-ish. When he does his eventual political compass thing, it'll be more in depth. But anyways, go give him some subs. And while you're at it, share my channel so I can get to 100. And then maybe, just maybe, I can do some kind of Q&A or whatever. I mean, from what I've seen of the kid, he's alright. I give him, he's still got ways to go, but then again, I did too. I mean, my first episode had an echo really, really bad, and I was too lazy to re-record me hitting the bed frame. But anyways, let's get right into the news. The first news story isn't a news story, it's a vote. Because there was another vote in the Senate to end the Yemen war. End the Yemen genocide. And it appears that every Democrat voted yes on this resolution. But this resolution passed again. That's a good thing. It passed. But how? If Republicans hold the majority, then how the heck did it pass? Well, shock of all shocks, Rand Paul and Mike Lee voted for it. And it appears that's, and unfortunately, Suzanne Collins and Lisa Murkowski they voted against ending the Yemen genocide. But 3 more Republicans flipped. They are Senator Daines from Montana, Senator Moran from Kansas, and Senator Young from Indiana. I don't even know their first names, but hey, a round of applause for these guys. They deserve a big yes. There was also apparently a resolution to ban the whole Trump, not ban the thing, but try to get the Mueller report released. Which I guess, I'm not against the Mueller report being released, but I'm just saying it's not the hill that I would die on. But there was a big vote, and there was some names that were trending on Twitter, and I was like, okay, well, the names are trending on Twitter. Collins, yeah, that's nothing expected. Murkowski, yeah, I guess. But then one name that was trending, and I was like, was Tom Tillis. He's my senator. And I was like, oh, so you're trending. Why? Oh, you've expressed the idea of trying to release the Mueller report. This could be an interesting thing, Tom. Care to elaborate? Votes not to release it. Oh, Tom, you almost had me. almost had me there, buddy. But bad news for Tom. He's up for re-election. I think we're going to be seeing no more Tom anytime soon. And then we'll have to get rid of Richard, who's already stated that he's going to retire, so that's a plus. Next story. Trump said that he wouldn't cut Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare. His 2020 budget cuts all three. Trump said he wouldn't be like every other Republican. He is. President Donald Trump's 2020 budget breaks one of his big campaign promises to voters, that he would leave Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare untouched. I'm not going to cut Social Security like every other Republican out there. I'm not going to cut Medicare and Medicaid, Trump told the Daily Signal, a conservative publication affiliated with the Heritage Foundation. Over the next 10 years, Trump's 2020 budget proposal aims to spend $1.3 trillion less on Medicaid instead of allocating $1.2 trillion in a block grant program to states. The $25 billion less on Social Security and $845 billion less on Medicare, some of that reclassified to a different department. Their intentions are to cut benefits under Medicaid and Social Security. The impact on Medicare is more complicated, but we'll get into that later. And let's see, when it comes to Medicare, it appears, I didn't get to that. I'll do one thing that I'm technically supposed to do, but I didn't, but I never really do, is I'll leave a link to the description here, like in the end of the video, to the actual article, because I think that it would be best for you to read what is going to happen to Medicare, because I do not have time to read all that. Cal Kalinske will probably read it. I don't know. He hasn't read it so far, but, to be fair, it's not anything at all what it was. It was expected. Trump, that was a big thing. He promised this is a promise, but he doesn't actually follow through. I will not cut Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. And the worst part is, he's also going to pretend that Bernie Sanders wants to cut Medicare. Because remember, that was a thing that he said once. He's like, he wants to raid Medicare to pay for socialism. Wow. Donald Trump, he can cut Medicare, but when Bernie Sanders wants to expand it, he's like, don't cut Medicare, people. It's not at all, surprising. Donald Trump lied and said that he was going to save Medicare, but he actually is going to cut it. Wow, what a big shock. Shock of all shocks. That's just whatever. To be fair, that will hurt him in 2020, because here's the thing. You know those whole Midwestern voters that were wanted to keep their jobs in the U.S. and were afraid that they were going to, lose their jobs under TPP? Well, the only reason that they were safe with voting for Trump was because he said he wasn't going to cut Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, which is stuff that they will need down the line when they're either poor or when they're old and they need to, get some money. Now that he's openly said he's going to cut it, and that'll pave the way for someone who wants to expand Medicare for everyone to actually do that. Bernie's gonna win. I can already see it now. Bernie's gonna win. Now this two, I'm actually gonna merge the two stories into one. The first thing that happens is Judge Janine asks whether Omar's hijab is indicative of her loyalty to Sharia law. She's a Fox News host that openly said, she's wearing a towel on her head. Ergo, she is under Sharia law and she hates the Constitution. The segment itself was so hateful that Fox News had to issue an apology. Fox News had to issue an apology. Wow. That's just, oof. And it gets even more damning for Omar. Well, not for Omar. You see, here's the thing. Democrats, they're so upset over Ilhan Omar, they are now seeking to primary her. Oh boy, when will the corporate establishment learn? You can't primary the progressive challenger. The progressive challenger is the one who primaries and wins. Her district, and the best part about it is that this district, they're not surprised at all about this. The district itself, I just realized, why are they so mad now? The one who was the previous representative, Keith Ellison, he was also accused of being an anti-Semite. The only difference is Keith Ellison was just a pointed finger by the guy who made Power Rangers. Literally, Haim Saban was literally just like, yeah, you're an anti-Semite. And Keith Ellison was like, well, I'm not, you idiot. I mean, come on. This is nothing new. The Muslim that comes into Congress being accused of being an anti-Semite. That's the... the only thing that could get more damning is if Kevin McCarthy openly said, well, I mean, we should probably check her to see if she's got any bombs on her. I mean, and again, it's surprising it's not happening to Rashida, because, well, Rashida, she's, not wearing a hijab. But Omar is going to get the hijab done and primary and win. She's not going to be a one-term congresswoman. She's not. There's no chance. There is no chance in hell that she's going to be a one-term congresswoman. It's just not going to happen. And, well, whoever's going to challenge her, there's been speculation on who could challenge her, and, well, they're not going to win. They're just not. It's going to be Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar she has more balls than a majority of the male Democrats in her party. And that's saying something, because she doesn't actually have them. Unless they're hiding under her hijab. I mean, it's just, why would anybody want to primary Omar? Omar is a very good progressive, and she's willing to call out. No, I mean, granted, I hit that back. I know why they want to primary her. Because she's pointing the finger at AIPAC, and AIPAC gives money to everybody. And this isn't like me saying, the Jews control the media. That's not true at all. Granted, they do have more people in the media, but that's probably due to other factors aside from Jews being this big conspiracy theory. It's not a big conspiracy theory. It's just, there are some Jewish people that are bad. Benjamin Netanyahu is one of them. There are some Jewish people that are good. Bernie Sanders is one of them. That's just the freaking truth. And now, we need to get past the fact of this is what always happens every time someone wants to criticize Israel. Anti-Semite. Ben Shapiro, he screams foul every time that they do anti-Semite. He'll always scream at everybody at the top of their lungs you're an anti-Semite. But then whenever someone says you're a racist, he's like, no, you're making crap up. Whatever. The next story. Milwaukee wins tight race to host the 2020 Democratic National Convention. This is a race we should have been voting on instead. Screw the midterms. This is the most important blue wave election of the year. The city will host the 2020 Democratic National Convention, edging out two large and deep-pocketed rivals over a months-long campaign waged behind the scenes through phone calls, contract negotiations, and quiet lobbying by some of the most powerful political figures in the country. Wow, they literally lobbied to get a city to host the Democratic National Convention. Now, here's the thing. Notice what city they picked. Milwaukee. And what is one thing that is magnetized to Milwaukee? Socialism. Who's the only open democratic socialist in the race? Bernie. We have to get Bernie elected just so we could have another sewer socialist win. We need this to happen. Rally behind Bernie. We need Bernie to avenge Eugene V. Debs, Victor L. Berger, Daniel Hohen, Morris Hillquit, Mayor London. We need him to avenge them all. Frank Zelder, whatever his name is. The socialist country must reign supreme. We must run and become a socialist country. Democratic Socialists of America just announced that they're going to endorse Bernie Sanders. We cannot let our socialist revolution be ended. We must become the Soviet Union 2.0. We need to become Venezuela. We need to be the biggest Denmark in the world. Well, actually, Bernie would be more of a social democratic leader and not a socialist one. But hey, I mean, come on, same difference, am I right? Anyways, the next story. Facebook briefly takes down Elizabeth Warren's ads on breaking up Facebook. Democratic presidential hopeful Elizabeth Warren might have felt vindicated in her crusade against the monopoly of tech companies like Facebook and Google after the former took down her ads calling for their dismemberment. Warren made a full-blown offensive against a number of the most prominent digital giants and the key part of her 2020 campaign agenda, blasting the vast power of conglomerates such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple have accumulated. Warren has unveiled plans to unwind tech mergers by introducing legislation that would bar the platforms from offering a marketplace and settling their services to the same marketplace. Now, they are... This is great. I like Elizabeth Warren. I kind of like Elizabeth Warren. But I do agree that there are some things that we need to do to make the internet a bit more safe. Net neutrality, regulate these big guys to make the First Amendment apply more. I mean, come on. We just need to do the basic stuff. And, trust busting of yesteryear. This is a good thing. I like trust busting. Let's bust them trust. And while we're at it, Disney, I'm coming for you. You can't buy all these different companies and make them into one thing. You need to pick one company to be and stick with it. But anyways, that was a short breakdown of that story. The next story is kind of a opinion piece. Andrew Yang wants the support of the pro-Trump internet. Now it is threatening to devour him. After Andrew Yang caught the attention of Reddit and 4chan, his campaign leaned into it. Now those same communities are leading harassment campaigns against his deputy chief of staff. An obscure Democrat running for the president has found an unexpected well of support in the same social media spaces that elevate the new far right in 2016. But while entrepreneur Andrew Yang has enjoyed a run of surprise favorable press since he began raising money and generating interest from gamers, internet trolls, and extremely online individuals, his campaign is now facing an early backlash in the form of leaks, doxing, and an escalating rhetorical battle over who exactly owns the remaining male-dominated corners of the social media. So basically, Andrew Yang, he's getting immensely popular amongst these alt-right kind of people. Like, there have been a lot of memes spread around by, the alt-right-like media. I would say more the alt-light, maybe. And many people have attributed it to the Joe Rogan experience and how he invited Andrew Yang on. But, I guess that would be something. But, they've even spread around, like, the Yang Gang anthem. And believe it or not, that has actually translated to a lot of good things for Andrew Yang, such as Yang actually getting enough donors to officially get into the first Democratic debate. That is good. I was part of the Yang Gang before it was cool. This is great. Andrew Yang being in the debate, he can actually bring UBI to the stage. I know Ian Schlockman's sitting there like, this is good, yeah. UBI needs to be on the debate stage. And, yeah, that is going to be what happens. He's officially going to be on the debate stage. Now all we need is Tulsi and Marianne Williamson to make it on the debate stage. Because unfortunately, neither of them have reached the goal yet. And that's a bad thing, because those two are also really progressive voices that I would like to see on the debate stage. But, you know, Andrew Yang being on the debate stage is cool in and of itself. Now, this could also bring into something. Will Yang steal voters from Bernie? Nah. I'd say since the progressive field is rather small, you know, I think Bernie's safe. I was gonna make a top 10 Democrats video, but the field keeps changing, so I have to keep remaking the list. Eventually, I think by June, by the first debate, I will have officially ranked the top 10 or top whatever Democrats that could actually win. Because there are a lot of people who are still expected to announce candidacies. Next story. 3 former Hawaii governors endorse Kahili for Congress. Former Hawaii governors John Wahi, Ben Cayetano, and Neil Abercrombie formally announced State Senator Kai Kahili on Thursday, formally endorsed, not announced, Kai Kahili on Thursday, March 14th, 2019, to represent Hawaii's 2nd District in the U.S. Congress. Governors Wahihi, Cantino, and Abercrombie also served as honorary co-chairs for the Kahili campaign. Kai Kahili was a born leader. Wahihi said he's a leader in his community, he's a leader in the legislature, and he's going to be a leader in Congress. That's why I'm endorsing him. I've known Kahili since he was a young boy. Blah, 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 blah. The thing about Kai Kahili is Kai Kahili, many people have questions about Kai Kahili. Kai Kahili mostly was running, he mostly got his support from the establishment, despite the fact that he's kind of touted himself as a progressive, because he's trying to cash in on the whole Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard stuff, since Gabbard's running for president. And she technically can run for both offices, but she's not officially announced that she's going to be running for both offices. So that's a question. Will she run for her thing? Will she run for her office again? Because here's the thing. I don't know much about Kai Kahili. I don't know much about his positions of the issues, because I don't think he has a website that officially says his issues. There is potential for me endorsing Kai Kahili. There is potential, but there needs to be a couple of ground rules. One, I keep saying Elizabeth Warren. Tulsi Gabbard has to not actually try for the seat. If she doesn't run for the seat, I'm going to keep the on my website, it still says Tulsi Gabbard. I'm endorsing her for Hawaii District 2, because this is by the intention that she either drops out early or that she doesn't win the presidential race. Because I think she might not drop out early, but she may drop out at a point where, before the Hawaii primary, so she might still have a chance to run against Kai Kahili. There is potential in me endorsing Kai Kahili, though, if Kai Kahili is truly a progressive candidate, and Gabbard inevitably does not run for her seat. But, considering Gabbard may more than likely run for her seat again, no, Kai, sorry for me. Now, on to 2020 Watch. Believe it or not, I actually tried to do a musical this time, and I figured out that it probably didn't work. The first is Wayne Messam, Democratic mayor of Miramar, announced that he's launching a 2020 presidential exploratory committee. Wayne Messam said in a statement, Washington is not working in the American people, and that big issues such as gun violence, climate change, and healthcare costs need fresh eyes and bold ideas from someone closer to the people. Together, we can fundamentally change our country for the better and tackle these challenges with actions that match the scale of urgency this moment, he added. Messam also told CNN on Wednesday that his candidacy offers a unique opportunity for Americans to look into another option in leadership, When you look at what's going on in Washington, the status quo is who is stepping up to be our next president. When you look at a mayor, Americans see mayors favorably. We are the front line of what Americans are dealing with every day. If Messam jumped into the race, he would enter already crowded Democratic field. Who the fuck are you? No, seriously. Literally, I was on Wikipedia. I always scroll through the 2020 Democratic primary field just to see if the candidates change. And lo and behold, this random man shows up and is like, yeah, I'm a big speculative candidate for president. It's like, who are you? This man came out of nowhere. Who are you? Granted, Yang actually had the opportunity of actually announcing a candidacy. Marianne Williamson had the decency to announce a candidacy before anybody actually was like, who are you guys? You're announcing an exploratory committee. Nobody cares about you, Wayne Messam. Because, newsflash, another thing coming up. Wayne Messam, of course, is black, blah, 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 blah. But Andrew Gillum teases major announcement in South Florida. Gillum has been rumored to be a 2020 presidential candidate. After losing out in a tight contest against now Governor Ron DeSantis in 2018, Gillum has previewed a major announcement for the future and state of our nation. Something is coming March 20th. We came so close to winning our state back last year, Gillum wrote in an email blast to his supporters on Friday morning. It still stings, especially when I think about the people who lose when we lose elections, but when I realized that the legacy of our campaign was never going to be defined by a victory in one day. Gillum, rumored to be a presidential candidate in 2020, on the major Democratic side, repeatedly teased the possibility through an email announcement. Gillum. Nobody likes you anymore. Nobody likes you anymore. Nobody does. The progressives turned their back on you. They did. I'm not kidding. It's not even like purely a me thing. Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kulinski, Humanist Report, they all expressed very bad things about Gillum. Granted, Kyle's more a bit... I'm not entirely mad at Gillum. I'm not super duper mad, but out of the three major black the three black gubernatorial candidates last time around, Ben Jealous, Andrew Gillum, and Stacey Abrams, I loved all three of them. Gillum fell the hardest. Abrams, her fall is a little steeper, but, you know. And Ben Jealous, he's been an angel. He's just been sitting there like, hey, you want a cup of tea? And I'm like, thank you, Ben. That's so nice of you. But Gillum, he literally, pivoted to the center. And was it's actually kind of like a meme now. Before the primary, I will stand for Medicare for all. After primary, affordable healthcare is a right. He completely turned his back on Bernie. He went from the beginning I am Bernie Sanders' best friend to, get out of the way, you fucking idiot. I'm with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton and Michael Bloomberg now. These are my buddies. Gillum. And many people are like, the spoiler effect was the thing that ruined it for him. If Gillum wanted to keep the progressive base, then why didn't he stay there? Darcy Richardson, he wasn't even running as a progressive, he was running as a moderate. And he got a lot of more votes. Not than Gillum, obviously, but he got a lot of votes because of his because I would assume maybe because of his big progressive past. And many of the people who probably did feel that that Gillum might have been a bit too... And Bruce Stanley, he was considered the unofficial Green Party candidate. Wow. It's just... Yeah. This is and especially considering Gillum, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares. I'm being serious. Anything that Gillum is running for, someone else is running for that already. If he's trying to run to be the big blue wave kind of person, There's already a lot of people trying to do that. Someone I'm going to get to in a second. If he's trying to run to be the super duper uber progressive, Bernie has you beat. Tulsi's got you beat. Andrew Yang's got you beat. Elizabeth Warren's got you beat. Michael Arth and Ryan Farber have you beat, and nobody cares who they are. Gillum, you have nothing. Oh wait, scratch that. I know what he has. He has the Bernie Sanders endorsement that he freaking threw away after he got into the general election. But they're going to use that against Bernie. Because here's the thing, they already do that with Elizabeth Warren. Like, why vote for Bernie Sanders when you can vote for the woman who has the exact same positions as Bernie Sanders? They're going to do the same thing with Gillum. Why vote for Bernie when you could vote for the young black man who is also like Bernie? Conveniently, they leave out Yang, Williamson, Farber, Arth, and I think there's one more I'm missing. Could it be a military veteran of some kind? That is a minority in a religious way and a physical way? Could it be someone who stood up for Bernie Sanders in 2016? Could it be someone who has a very strong foreign policy? You know what? I'm drawing a blank here. Who else could they be leaving out? I have no clue. It sometimes gets very infuriating. Like, the corporate establishment media, they're in this bubble. They don't even acknowledge the fact that their big plans, Plan A was Kamala Harris. They're trying to push down Kamala Harris down our throat. They're getting mad. They're like, oh no, we need to move on to Plan B. And speaking of Plan B, Beto O'Rourke announces that he's running for President of the United States. The honeymoon phase is over. The base loved you in 2018. And I was one of the first people to try and call you out, Beto. I wasn't going to endorse you, Beto. I was never going to endorse Beto O'Rourke. I knew he was a part of the New Democrat coalition before anybody else seemed to notice. But here's the thing. Kyle, Lawrence Lessig, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they kept saying, vote for Beto, vote for Beto, vote for Beto. And I was like, if he's being endorsed by all these wonderful people, maybe he's not that bad, am I right? Well, it turns out everybody else seemed to take the red pill. Everyone else seems to have the red pill now. Not everybody hates Beto. Now, granted, I do believe Beto, many people are like, they keep saying Kamala Harris is the best chance for the corporatists to try and take the 2020 Democratic field. I 100% disagree. Because Beto at least has some momentum. Granted, the momentum is not as big as Bernie Sanders. Granted, the memento is, well, mostly made up by the fact that he was running against Ted Cruz. Granted, the memento was mostly in Texas. Granted, the momentum was not big enough for him to actually beat Ted Cruz. Granted, the momentum was propping up a candidate that now just keeps saying he's died Obama. Well, I do believe, out of all the Democratic candidates, because, the top three of my list are always the same: Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Beto O'Rourke. Everybody keeps saying that Kamala Harris has a better chance, or Biden has a better chance. I wholeheartedly disagree. Beto has the best chance out of all three, because it could still ride some of that momentum. There's an actress who endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016, Alyssa Milano, she's now running with Beto. And a lot of people were saying, like, Beto, he does have, like, the young appeal that many people might actually think is possible. But the thing is, that momentum is definitely not going to be enough to push him to win against Bernie Sanders. Like, his momentum is not going at it. It's not going to push him that far. That's just being a bit ludicrous. But it is enough to at least give you some kind of thing to show that he is the most honestly, out of all the corporatists, that if I were like a big corporate PAC guy and I was going to pick a candidate to like tip the scales in favor of, Beto would probably be my bet. Now, let's move on to the smaller candidate of the day, who conveniently is also running in the Democratic primary. Robert Carr Wells Jr. He was a college football guy. He used to do college football, like he played football in college. Then he became a football coach. Then he decided he was going to run for president. Oh boy. You see, initially, his first major presidential run was in 2012. He had initially announced that he was going to run as an independent, saying that our party system is broken and we need a third option. Granted, they already had multiple options. Then in December, he decided that he was going to become a candidate of the Reform Party. Then in January of 2012, he withdrew his bid for the Reform Party nomination and announced that he would seek the presidential nomination of the Constitution Party. That campaign actually went places because he actually made it to the convention. He received 58 out of 402 votes. It ultimately went to Virgil Goode, as we all know, because I said in a video, the Constitution Party. But he did inevitably do that. Then in 2016, he announced it like the day of the election in 2012, I think. He announced that he was going to run for president in 2016 as an independent candidate. He even held his convention in 2013. Then, he announced later in that year that he was going to seek the nomination of the Democratic Party. Then, in 2016, he announced that he was not going to be running as a Democrat again, but he was going to run as an independent. And Wells never attempted to get on the ballot anywhere. You know, you gotta do that if you're gonna run a presidential campaign. Then in 2018, he filed with the FEC to run for president in the 2020 Democratic primary. His big part of his platform is something that he calls Eaglenomics. He wants to make it work for everyone. Best of the left, best of the right. Bring back offshore manufacturing jobs. Eliminate unemployment. Create low-cost, non-fossil, sustainable energy. Increase industrialization. Develop an advanced national infrastructure. Expand the middle class. Create enduring prosperity. Restore the American dream. Let me see. More policy-based stuff. Create prosperity and full employment for all. Develop sustainable energy independence. Reverse international trade from deficit to surplus. Restore and advance American manufacturing in all sectors. Revamp bring coherency to the U.S. tax code. Universal health care. Restore Social Security to financial health. Enable financially sound social, local, and state government. Reform both Wall Street and the financial sector. Redesign the banking system to make it stable. Structure educational support to all Americans. Eradicate revenue deficit and national debt. Strengthen U.S. security. I don't trust him at all, because you go from the far-right Constitution Party to announcing you support universal health care. Constitution Party would have killed Medicare for all any chance it got. I don't trust you, Robbie. Sorry, never gonna vote for you. Granted, you're not gonna be on my ballot anyways, because you don't try to get on the ballot. Granted, Robbie Wells, he also, for some reason, decides to go to other countries to make his campaign known. He's went to like Asia and stuff to make his campaign known. I'm pretty sure to Asia they think he's actually like a big Democratic frontrunner like Beto O'Rourke. But he's not. Now, as a suggestion by We the People, again, shouted him out and link of his channel in the description, we will be covering the Venezuelan coup, or more likely the title of the episode is going to be, What the Heck is Going On in Venezuela? Now, the thing is, he probably doesn't know that I'm going to do a half and half. I'm going to explain, I'm kind of going to do both sides of the argument of, like, what the heck is going on in Venezuela. First of all, what is Venezuela? I mean, I know you know what Venezuela is, it's a country, but you may not know the entire extent of Venezuela and a bit of its, stuff, its history. Currently, it is under the presidential rule of Nicolas Maduro. He is riding off the success of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez is best known for being a socialist and instituting a new kind of socialist ideology called Socialism of the 21st Century. Socialism of the 21st Century is very popular in a lot of South American countries, like Bolivia with Evo Morales, Argentina with Nestor Kirchner, and Brazil with Luiz Lula da Silva. So it's a popular ideology, though it is a very far left one, granted. And there are some fascistic tendencies that Hugo Chavez had to do in order to get there. Currently, there is a lot of crises going on in Venezuela right now. It technically started near the end of Chavez's run, but it is mostly tied to Maduro because Maduro was the one who was the leader during a majority of it. It has caused hyperinflation, soaring hunger, disease and crime, and death rates, and massive emigration from the country. It is stated that it is not, it's not even the problem of a natural disaster or a large war, but a lot of people attribute it to the policies that the Bolivarian Revolution did, what Chavez has done. Some people attribute it to, many people even, due to the fact that Venezuela sits on one of the biggest reserves of oil in the country, not in the country, I mean, in the world, rivaling that of Saudi Arabia. So they're logically, it should not be this way. It should not be in this big economic crisis right now. This should not happen. They should be rolling in the dough. Why the hell are they doing so bad? Many people attribute it to their socialist ideology. Do I attribute it to that? Well, to be fair, I don't know everything going on in Venezuela, as I do not live there. Though, some people who have been to Venezuela note that some of the things that the media has said is a little exaggerated. One of the most common things is that they'll say, stores are completely empty of food. And then they go to a store and there's food there. What a shock. I mean, I will give you this. I do believe that there are a lot of starving people in Venezuela. No duh. Every country has starving people. Soviet Union, USA, even countries that are completely free and everything is free and blah blah blah. The socialist paradises Finland or whatever. They have starving people as well. This is the equivalent of their Great Recession. Many people on the left who do defend Venezuela, they attribute it mostly due to U.S. sanctions in Venezuela. But, it's I would say maybe it's a mix of both. I don't know. I don't know exactly the explicit truth. Because I'm not the biggest guy to report on Venezuela on. There are, some are more, and especially considering that this could be a very hot topic debate issue, because some people on the right will neglect some of the information, and some people on the left will neglect information that doesn't do well with them. Max Blumenthal, he went to a supermarket And was just like, yo, there's food, ergo, no starving people. I'm like, to be fair, you haven't been to every supermarket, you've been to one. But there's some people like Freedom Tunes who'll be like, there's a starving person, ergo Venezuela is in a big crisis and we need to... When that's probably not true either. You know, there's starving people in America. Does that mean we need to go kill Donald Trump? Does that mean we gotta take over America's country? No. There are starving people in every country. It depends on the factors that got them to this situation. And many people don't attribute it explicitly to socialism. They explicitly point it to Maduro's execution of it. Because there are some countries that can do, you know, socialist or social democracy well, and some that can do it very poorly. Now, my personal opinion is maybe it has to do with the economic ideology itself. Like, maybe it is the true idea, like, maybe he should have taken less pages from the Soviet Union, and maybe he should have taken more pages from the, you know, I keep blanking on Scandinavia. I keep blanking on it. He probably should have taken more pages from Scandinavia than less pages from Russia. I mean, not Russia, Soviet Union. I, frankly, would have been fine with him taking a lot of... Because, I mean, to be fair, if he took pages from social democracy and not socialism... I mean, not socialism, but communism, pretty much, then we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Like, even China, a very open communist country, they actually have aspects of capitalism in them. And you might say, wait, that's not true. It is true. I've learned through China, like I've learned a lot of the stuff that goes on with China is that they actually do a lot of their trade, like a lot of their trade deals are 100% free trade. And they do well there. They have a strictly regulated domestic economy, while free trade is pretty much their norm for trade. Now, that's kind of my very abridged version of, like, well, people like Jimmy Dore do like to say that. I do believe that, to an extent, the Venezuelan situation may be a bit more exaggerated, especially considering we don't live in Venezuela. We don't actually get to walk down the street every day and see what happens in Venezuela. We cannot deny some of the statistical facts. Some statistical facts show that nearly 75% of the population have lost an average of at least 8.5 kilograms or 19.4 pounds in weight due to the lack of proper nutrition. It's basically the equivalent of America and every other country. They have the food there. We just do not have the proper way to distribute it to everyone. Don't pretend that that's the truth. It's the simple truth. As very socialistic as it may sound, it is the simple truth. The world has enough resources to feed everybody in it. We just don't know how to distribute it properly because we're focused on profit and, you know, stimulating scarcity. It could be, I do say that maybe it is the truth that maybe there are some problems. And to be fair, like many of these places, if you give them kind of unlimited power in one political party, and it appears that Chavez has kind of remained in power for a long time, and a couple of other, like, ones around the world, and it's regardless of political ideology. Mexico has had a political part. Mexico was just taken over by a leftist leader who was battling against a corporate centrist kind of neoliberal type person. His party's been in control for like a million years. Not AMLO, the corporate centrist party. They've been in control for a long time in Mexican history. And they just got worse and worse because nobody was able to put them in check. And whenever someone did put them in check, they could just slightly be better than them. And it wouldn't do anything. There's also been a lot of mass protests going on. I don't know much about that part because my channel is focused more on the politics and the people behind it. So let's focus more on that. What happened and why is there a big dispute over presidents in Venezuela? Maduro versus Well, we'll get to that guy in a second. Well, it all started in 2018 when the presidential elections were held. It was held on the 20th of May, 2018. It was actually a snap election because the election was actually slated to be held in December, but it was subsequently pulled back. I don't know why. It is, like, here's the thing. There were many candidates who ran for the presidency, obviously. And when I say many, I don't mean that many. There weren't that many people who actually ran for the presidency. The biggest challengers that could possibly happen to Maduro was the Democratic Unity Roundtable. For those who don't know what the Democratic Unity Roundtable is, it is a big tent party that is anti-Maduro. The whole idea is they pretty much all the political parties that are against Maduro. Now, there is actually another coalition that is the Great Patriotic Pole. It's like Maduro's party and it's like Maduro's party and there's really no other important party. There are a lot of parties that are there, but a majority of them are just other, socialist or social democratic parties. Now, there are some social democratic parties in the Democratic Unity Roundtable that are opposed to Maduro on an ethical reason. They don't like Maduro because they think either Maduro's corrupt or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I say blah, blah, blah to corruption. Okay. But the biggest one of them, they began discussions on who would their candidate be, and the biggest candidate that popped up was Leopoldo Lopez, who was the head of Popular Will. While it was only the third largest party in the coalition, it is seen as the most prominent, mostly due to a lot of other factors. Justice First chose a candidate by the name of Henrique Capriles Hondiski to be their candidate for the primaries, to run against the other candidates. And Democratic Action, who is, I believe, no, not the second largest, a different member of the coalition, also decided they were going to run. The problem was this. Eventually, on February of 2018, the Democratic Unity Roundtable announced that they would boycott the election, which makes no freaking sense. If you believe Maduro's a dictator, run against him. Run against him. And this leads into a big inconsistency, because eventually Maduro did face some challengers. Henry Falcone of the Progressive Advance and Javier Bertucci of El Cambio being a Christian Democratic Party and the Progressive Alliance being a social democratic or a progressive party. I believe, they didn't really have they're not affiliated with the Grand Patriotic Pole or the Democratic Unity Roundtable. They're kind of outlier parties. Eventually, Maduro won the election with 67.8% of the popular vote. Falcone came in second, Javier came in third. No duh. But the problem was one day, out of nowhere, Juan Guaido, who was the leader of the legislative body, announced, "No, I'm the real president." Which, no, you're not. I don't care if you agree with his policies or not. He's not the president. He didn't run. If Henry Falcone was accusing Maduro of election fraud, then maybe we'd have a different story. But it's not true. Juan Guaido, you have no reason to even... it's funny. They list him as... They list Guaido as acting president of Venezuela, but he's not acting president. He's not. And I mean, there's a big thing that is going on because around the world, countries are for some reason deciding to accept Guaido as the leader. USA, Canada, UK, Brazil, Australia. While very few countries like China, Vietnam, Russia are choosing to accept Maduro as the leader. You know, recognize the fact that Maduro was elected the leader. He was. There is no shame. He is the leader. There is no question. He won. And I might say, well, maybe Maduro cheated. And I know that if he cheated, yeah, he cheated. Guess what? A lot of elections were cheated. I mean, Russia was cheated. I'm 100% convinced Vladimir Putin cheated his own election. Does that mean we gotta do something to him? But that's the thing. Juan Guaido has received a lot of criticism because he's a graduate of George Washington University, a university in America, and Guaido has even stated that when he actually becomes president, he will open up the oil reserves to be used by our ally, the US. So, yeah, whatever good intentions the Venezuelan protesters had against Maduro has completely been shattered. It has been shattered because whatever good intentions he had has now been quelled. This is literally the Tea Party all over again. Good intentioned people who probably have legitimate criticisms and actual policies being taken over by some rich guy who's going to do something, who's going to use it for corporate gain. Juan Guaido is he's literally just a puppet for the US to be used in Venezuela. Like, I mean, like, if you believe Maduro is a dictator, fine. If you believe Maduro is a demagogue, fine. I'm not going to sit here and defend Maduro. I do believe that Maduro is a bad person. Yeah. But Guaido is not any better. You're just replacing a guy who's openly being being a little fascistic, to a corporate tool. One guy they're pretty much similar. They're really similar. Except the only difference is Guaido, he's not the top guy. The top guy is whoever's giving him like $1 million. It's just the simple truth. It even shows, like, there are some things that Guaido has been likened to Donald Trump and Jair Bolsonaro. That he could potentially, they've made him like kind of both a Barack Obama and Donald Trump-like figure, because he's kind of aligning himself with right-wing leaders, despite the fact that his political party is social democratic, self-espoused social democratic. But the reason why but the biggest question many people have been having is, what did the US do about it? Here's my answer. Nothing. It's not our job to fix Venezuela. It is Venezuela's time to fix Venezuela. The US should not get involved in Venezuela, period. I don't care if Maduro's a dictator or not. Or if the US, if it needs to get involved at all. If it needs to get involved in... No, I'm not even gonna give it if we need to get involved at all. Because every US intervention turns into us giving weapons to people. And the thing is, Guaido is trying to milk it the best he can. Like, the US, please help me. I need your help to take down Maduro. Maduro rightfully says, like, you're just using these people as tools to get into the oil reserves. And how do I know this? Months ago, literal months ago, not even months ago, like a year ago, the president was saying, you know what we should do? We should invade Venezuela. We should invade Venezuela. It'd be a good idea. Let's invade Venezuela. Like, and the thing is, this is literally what the U.S. has done for, and you might say, well, how do I know this is the simple truth? It's because the U.S. has done this before. We do this a million times. There'll be a left-wing leader in a country, like, I don't know, like a country like, let's say Cuba. Whatever dictatorship ideals they have, we crank it up to a 10. We spread like propaganda explaining how this guy's a bad person, even if he's not doing anything inherently wrong. And then the U.S. makes the U.S. citizens get so mad that they're willing to sign off to join to another interventionist regime change war. Like, do I believe Maduro is dictator-like? Do I believe Maduro is being a bad leader? Yeah, I do believe that. Now, this may get some people mad at me, but it's true. I do believe that Maduro isn't doing a good job leading his country right now. But Maduro is not our problem. If the Venezuelan people do not want Maduro, take up arms yourself. It's not our job. And the thing is, the U.S., we try to send in food and stuff, but it's kind of it's the same thing that happens before. We send in food, but then we hand in guns instead. Maduro has refused to give, like allow U.S. to send in stuff. While I do believe there is some kind of bad things, the thing is, he knows that eventually what's going to be in those carts is not going to be food, it's not going to be bananas, it's going to be guns. That's what's going to happen. The U.S. will send stuff there, be the big good guy, and then, now we're giving you weapons, go take down Maduro. And the funny thing is, Pence and Trump were so convinced that Guaido was just going to snap his fingers and then become president in a fast pace. They pretty much spent a lot of resources giving Guaido attention and stuff. But the thing is, Guaido's revolution that he expected is protesters. He expected half of the Venezuelan army. He expected a majority of the Venezuelan army to join him, but they're not. And the revolution is kind of being quelled at the moment. The thing is, I do not believe the U.S. should get involved in Venezuela at all. If it is not our problem. And they might say, well, but people are starving in Venezuela. Yeah, and Guaido can fix it. If he's so super mad about this, he himself should take up arms. But the thing is, the U.S., it's not our responsibility to be Venezuela's babysitter. Especially considering this is literally something that the U.S. has done just for political gain. In the 80s, there was Cold War drama. We fought the commies inside Nicaragua. Remember that? The problem is the U.S., they want me to forget that. But the thing is, it's in our history books. The U.S. has invaded all of these countries for so long. They were just doing this for political gain. And you know what's the worst part? They're planning to do it again. I just found an article talking about how AMLO, the leftist president of Mexico, is apparently dismantling democracy in Mexico. The second I was doing research on my Mexican presidential election video that I just released, and when I saw that article, literally the first thing that popped into my head was, you know what that means? Like, this is, like, the U.S., they've gotten away with it for so long. They don't see any reason to lie about it anymore. They go do the same song and dance. Mexico or some other Latin country elects a slightly left-wing leader. Oh no, they are a dictator. We must go save them. It's not our responsibility to do that. And if you think it is, all you're doing is pretty much giving the government a blank check to do whatever the hell they want. I say this in the most sincere way. We have no reason to do that. Can you imagine if Canada said, "Oh, the US is a dictatorship. Let's go bomb Texas"? Do you know how quickly the US would say, "You're a dictatorship, we need to fight you. Don't do that, you're breaking international law"? We do that all the time. We break international law all the time because the US thinks they're better than everyone else. They're not. The US is not the world's police. We're not the world's babysitters. I mean, if you get to play this game, I get to play this game too. I don't like Theresa May. Better take down Britain. I don't like Trudeau. Let's take down Canada. I don't like, Xi Jinping. Better take down China. I don't like Putin. Let's take down Russia. You can't play this game. This isn't a game. You are literally trying to go to war over no reason. The Venezuelan people, they're not going to be fixed. We're just going to kill more people. This is not the solution. You can't just put money and guns into a solution and expect the country and world peace to be better. Do you know how bad it has gotten? The US and our crappy foreign policy, it has gotten so bad that the world considers us the biggest threat to world peace. Not Iran, not Iraq, not Israel, not Saudi Arabia, not China, not Russia, but the US of freaking A. And you know what's the worst part? As an American, I don't disagree with this. The US is the biggest threat to world peace. It is. Because the reason is, when every other country goes kumbaya and everybody's happy, the US is still going to find one minute detail to kill a leader and then just institute whatever the hell they want. So, I know I probably didn't contribute anything big to the Venezuelan conversation, but it is something that I think needed to be said. Whatever good intentions the Venezuelan protesters had has been completely quelled by the US's political and social and economic gain of getting Venezuela. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report. What are your thoughts on this current crisis in Venezuela? Do you agree with me, or do you think I'm completely dead wrong? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below.